Hello, everybody. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Pat and Brands podcast with Pat and
Mpumi.
I like that. Remix, babe.
You know what I mean? Welcome once again to another episode of Ourselves with the Pat and Brands podcast with myself, Njongo Mato and Pat.
Yeah, super excited about today's episode.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we've got a guest.
We have a shy man, guys. So whatever
Very shy.
you do, you best like. If you didn't want to like our candid conversation, this one at least just to boost. Yeah, well, this whole episode.
But I mean, he's a shy man, but yet also when he speaks,
Yeah.
he speaks a lot of sense.
Yeah.
And he speaks
and
with
mind
so
you,
much
he's in a
conviction.
space where all eyes on. You know what I mean? That's interesting.
And just a brief background. I met this man at my last place of employ.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting story on how that ended.
You guys met PB after school type of situation.
Yeah. No, we were at an agency. Obviously, we will not name.
Yeah.
But Pat joined as the social media
Manager, yeah.
manager. Yes, he was phenomenal at it, man. But I think obviously, Pat is a business guy. So he had other interests that he was taking care of, and unfortunately, the environment didn't really allow him to pursue those. Outside
You know the story. He knows the story. He knows the story.
So yeah, man, So I'm
But
glad
it's good.
that
I mean, then that was 2019. Then boom, 2020 lockdown. The last time we spoke, you had gone back to Eslalini.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, man.
And then boom, now
Back again.
the universe brings us together.
Yes,
and
my
look
brother.
at us doing a podcast.
Yeah, amazing stuff,
Yeah.
amazing stuff. No, I took a little bit of a sabbatical at some point,
Okay.
just had to go home, get away from Joburg, refresh.
Look more Shili Joburg.
No. Oh, no, not at all,
Alright.
And listen, that cool is Lalin.
Okay. So it was fast-paced, loud.
Yeah, absolutely,
It's a lot.
man. Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But so I think once I got back on track, I came back and I've been killing it.
Already.
Yeah.
Okay.
Been killing it.
Yeah.
He's been killing
That's
it.
amazing.
But behind the scenes,
Behind the scenes.
Great.
Great, man. And obviously, I mean, we brought you in today. It's the start of the year.
Yeah.
We just want to talk about, like, how does the landscape look like for PR, for communications, for agency? Let's just, there's no script.
Yeah.
Right?
I think maybe before we even talk about that, I mean, our audience and true to who they are is it's either students, people who are looking to apply. And I think it's also fair to have a conversation to say there's so many, it's not linear. So marketing is not you're a marketer and that's it, you're
Absolutely.
a PR. In PR, there's so many opportunities that lie that you
Absolutely.
create also because that's what we think. I mean, we'll talk about influencers, but it's also a PR leg, for example, of which we saw in the last probably 8 years or so and it going up. But you come and you talk about, I know usually people are like marketing, PR, they're quite separate, but they one. So you're going to be talking about a leg where how do we make people look amazing?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think about managing reputations, like those kind of things. Storytelling actually.
Storytelling.
Yeah, that's what PR really is. Well, I mean, to me at least,
That's amazing.
Yeah, storytelling,
And maybe we'll start by that is to say, what is PR to you?
Oh my goodness, this question.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when they ask to go to it's tell me more about yourself.
In an interview.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen, I think my LinkedIn profile even says, I just really enjoy helping clients tell their stories, So I think, in a nutshell, to me, that's what PR is, It really is like telling stories. I think most people kind of always think about PR from a crisis, reputation management point of view.
Gotcha, yeah.
Like,
Events,
events, all those kind of
celebs,
things.
yeah.
But I mean, listen, and even events are a form of storytelling,
Sure.
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, about like how you set up
It's a
the
medium.
event, the experience, and
Absolutely.
Yeah, so literally, so that's what PR is to me. PR to me is just storytelling.
Storytelling.
Sure. To you,
Absolutely.
Pat, I know you love PR. You're a PR maverick.
Am I?
In your youth again.
I mean, PR to me, obviously, is just build on what Njongo just said, telling your story, but maybe just to add efficiently.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, PR is about leveraging relationships with
Absolutely.
The media. Whereas advertising, you spend millions of rands to tell your story. With PR, it almost costs nothing. You know, so for me, that's what it's about. Telling your own stories efficiently to as many people as you can possibly reach.
And I suppose it's two-pronged, because there's a part where you're telling the narrative, there's a part where people are telling you, and you're kind of telling them, no, this is what actually is the truth. So you kind of manage the narrative of who I am from a brand perspective.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, absolutely. And I think like the term PR kind of gets thrown around very loosely sometimes.
Very much so.
Like anything in South Africa.
Yeah.
Listen, in the world, like to be honest, you know, because I remember when I studied PR actually, and my parents were like, "You do any PR?" You know, so you know, I was.
Did you know what it was though?
You know, my first exposure to PR.
Yeah.
Because at some point I did want to be a PR officer, PRO, pro, you know, and it was Utatu, Patko Mafani.
Oh yes.
Remember when he was
the legend
yes. when he was a PR officer for Kaizer Chiefs.
Yes, absolutely.
And he just used to like tell it, man, with so much energy. It was just inspiring to see him do his thing, and ultimately, you know, that's what I wanted to be. But now that I'm here, I own a PR firm,
you own a PR firm. Sure, boy.
Yeah. But I mean, you've just said it is used quite loosely.
Yeah.
You know, it is used interchangeably. You don't know if it's just a press release. Is that PR?
Yeah.
Is it being on TV? That's PR. There's just so much to it. So how did you explain actually to your parents?
Yeah, listen, I was like, you know what, because
I'm sick of it. I mean, we're trying to tell, I was saying to my sister, we need to get an Uber for my grandfather.
Yeah.
And we're just like, how are we going to tell him that it's an Uber service? He's from Northwest. I was just like, we got a driver.
Yeah.
Just say we got a driver.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So actually, I think I kind of took Pat's approach, because I think for me, you know, the way I explain things is through examples, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So I think I was like, I can't remember who it was. Yeah, but you know, what they do, you know, that's what I want to do.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, they're like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
No.
So when you see someone from a particular company speaking about it, there's a PR person who made that possible.
There we go.
It's still though far-fetched, but I suppose. But I mean, I think PR, like you've said, and where does it play a function? You've spoken a pro, which is an individual who's doing that.
Yeah.
But there's also then an agency, where there's an actual agency of which now you're driving this whole ship where... I don't want to say you lie sometimes.
Well, I mean.
You know what I'm saying? But you paint a good picture, you know, of who this client is. But what is the importance of PR for a business?
Listen,
or a brand?
Listen, I think it's often an your overlooked function.
Of course.
Until things hit the fan. You know, until things hit the fan. Then you realize the good, So I think the importance for PR for any business, right, is to really try and mitigate so many of those kind of, you know, scenarios, right? Because I always say, I think, you know, prevention is always like the best cure.
Yeah.
Right? You know, so it's, you know, really sitting down to make the business understand, listen, this is what the perception of your business is within the public. You know, and how do we improve that?
Gotcha.
You know, and also I think just really putting in systems in place so that, you know, if things ever do, you know, go pear-shaped, this is how now we're going to navigate that, you know, and really kind of gain the public's trust again.
Got you.
Yeah. So but I think again, you know, it's often a function that people, businesses especially, really seek, you know, when things get bad. Yeah.
So what about small businesses?
Very important. Also very important, you know, because again, you know, they also need their stories to be told, right? And I'm actually glad that you asked that, because, you know, I'm very passionate about small businesses. Now, we went with one of my clients last year. We were in Tshwane, you know, for an immersion there.
That's Pretoria. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. You know, so one of the guys there was selling food. Right, was selling food, and he was talking about starting a delivery service, because they actually didn't have a delivery service, but I think they do now. This other company that I see on LinkedIn a lot actually penetrated, which is actually quite great.
Isn't it delivery at speed?
Yes, it's them. I love them, you know, So we started talking about that. I was like, listen, man, even if just like get yourself a bicycle, you know. Sure. But then we're like, okay, but then now there's also ways to also leverage that now, because now you also get, I think when you have your bicycle, like the little box that like you put your food in, you know, you can actually like brand that. You know what I mean?
Opportunity,
So we start talking about those kind of things, you know, but like I think just like visuals, visibility, you know, So, and I think he really began to understand what, okay, actually. And then I was also like, listen, you know, you can also even get, you know, advertising opportunities for that, right? About like to brand. And then he's like, oh, okay. So I think, again, about like PR for small businesses within that sense is also very important, you know. I mean, there's a young lady that we also went to who sells his guns, who bakes his guns, you know? Yeah. So, and I was like, and they're phenomenal, you know, but I was just like,
nobody knows.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You know? Yeah, well, so it really is important, man. And I think the great thing about the time that we live in now, I think with smartphones as well, about like creating content, it's very easy to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's amplification, basically.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, man. I mean, you work in the agency world.
Yeah.
Right. And often you hear the name or the word rather, client services, account manager, account director.
Yeah.
You know,
everyone's favorite things to do.
Is it really?
Man.
Yeah, but at the core,
I feel like it's almost that lost job that remains after everybody has chosen ECD, designer, whatever. Then they're like, well, you're the only one left.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, often, obviously, we hear these terms sort of thrown around.
Yeah.
What is it? What's an account manager at its basic level?
At its very basic level, now, an account manager is just someone who ensures that the client is just well serviced. You know, like you're the day-to-day liaison with the client. You know, understanding what the client needs and just offering solutions. You know, so that's literally what it is. Yeah.
I think you also become the brand.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
You because you understand now the marketing manager, brand manager, the psyche. And the brand and in consumer. So there's almost three type of psychologies you're working with. You're working with the actual person who is the brand manager or the marketing manager. You are the brand or understanding whatever brand you're working for. And also then the people you're talking to, so the target audience or customer. So you're part, custodian.
Yes.
You know, so that's why you'll always form the glue between creative, you know, or PR or whatever to remind them that this is who we're talking to and how you deliver that message because you know, there's certain words maybe that's not going to rock her boat and we might not get approval, which leads to delays, more budgets. By the time you're done, we have to launch next year because this year's budget is finished.
Absolutely.
You know?
And I find that, and I actually enjoy that, to be quite honest. So I think I really enjoy people. Right, you know, I think like learning, you know, what they like, what they don't like, how they think. I enjoy collaboration.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so I think for me, that's my favorite part of, you know, I think client service, and I think that's why I'm pretty good at it. If I say so.
Say myself, yo, guys, Lomdu has been giving himself medals.
I mean, it's great. It's great that you say you're pretty good at it, and obviously, but a lot of people aren't. You know, so what are some of the sort of areas of improvement? You know that.
No, yes, that's a very good question with Pat. So I think for me, right, it's when communication breaks or like fails, you know, everything fails, you know. And I think what I've really realized over the years is that, you know, open lines of communication with client are really important, you know, both for good times and for bad times, you know. I have, there's a manager of mine who used to always say, for example, right, whenever, you know, you're dealing with clients, you know how like on email, you know, things can get very heated very quickly, you know, like.
And tonalities missed.
And then she always used to tell me, can I say her name?
Yeah, you can.
Upeni Motsamai, fantastic lady. She was like, always pick up the phone.
Yeah.
Pick up the phone. And even better, if you can go to the office, go to the office, you know, that can be there. Yeah. So, that relationship, relationships and communication. So I think that's always like kind of, it's always been like a sore point, you know, with account management. And I really think that, you know, I think as we go into 2023, I really, you know, want to see that improving. And I think, you know, where I work, I think we do it very well. And I mean, you know, I think with WhatsApp, right, it's a very contentious issue.
Got you. Because now also, I mean, we now decisions are now made through
On WhatsApp.
Yeah.
On WhatsApp, you know.
Yeah.
You get approved.
Yeah. Send it to me on WhatsApp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but I mean, yeah, I think it's just like, you know, I think it really helps accelerate, you know, processes, you know,
Yeah.
and communication. Because I mean, I think I only really got to be great with WhatsApp during lockdown, right? And I
Okay.
think,
Sure.
in fact, we all had to.
Yeah.
You know, we all had to. But I mean, it's quite amazing how you can, if you need like a press release approved, right? Just attach it quickly on WhatsApp. Boom. Person gets it, they read it, and then send it back to you, approve, and then we get going.
Yeah.
Got
You
you.
know, yeah. So I really think that, you know, I think communication is very key. You know, communication is very key. So I think that's one area that I see a lot of improvement that needs to happen. Right.
It's crazy you say that communication, because at the core of it, it is communication.
right.
You know, but people still get it wrong somehow.
And we always have that joke, right? In comms, with you guys, we're communicators, but we're so poor at it. You know. So yeah, you know.
But then when you communicate, you over communicate.
Yeah,
So
you know.
it's like you're
But-
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Absolutely. But I think also it's better to over communicate
Yeah.
than
No,
not to
Certainly.
communicate at
100%.
all.
No, 100%.
Obviously, I mean, within an agency, then you've got your, account manager or client services, right? And you're dealing with the internal stakeholders. That is your creative, that is production, that is
Yeah.
different
Stakeholders.
stakeholders within, within the business.
Yeah.
How do you? Then we've got client externally, you know, who breathes on your neck.
Yes.
To say, hey,
Yeah.
we want our work. When is this coming out?
Yeah.
How do you manage that?
Again, my brother, it's a it's a headache sometimes, you know.
Yeah.
But I think if you really, again, it goes back to communication, right? If you really establish a great system, you know, of communication, and just like I think efficiencies as well, you know. So and collaboration, right? Yeah. So again, like I said, I love collaborating. So one of the things that I really do. One thing that I do, for example, with the creative agencies that we collaborate with for some of our clients, I like to go work from their offices, so, you know, get to know them, you know.
I mean, are you really getting to know them, or you just like Tom? You know what I'm saying?
No, listen, it's very important, right?
Yeah.
Because again, about like you said earlier on, about like you get to learn the kind of people that you're working with, about
Yeah.
how they prefer to work, and I always find that, I think once you put in that kind of effort, they're often reciprocated, you know, and you find that like working becomes much easier with them, you know. Yeah,
Like for
so-
Mr. Njongo,
Yeah.
I will make sure I get it done. But I think a very important part to it is also being a project manager to a certain degree, or process flow manager.
Yeah.
Because then you can manage expectation and build the trust.
Definitely.
You know, is that I know client wants this, then I will certainly push.
Yeah.
But I also just want to make sure you remember that this will take X number, because you understand that from there it goes to traffic, it goes to there, then it needs to
And
go through certain approval processes.
Yes.
By the time it gets to client, you also understand how their organizational structure works,
Yeah.
so that you're like, okay, this project that should between 2 people take 2 days
Yeah.
is probably going to take a week.
Absolutely.
Because of that. So you
Absolutely.
come back not saying that it will be given in 2 days. Client is working on that expectation,
Yeah.
comes back. You also have to have that pushback to say, I want to, but I also don't want to let you down.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there's that goal that you need kind of to be able to understand in meetings. I can't be put in a corner because it affects so many
Yes.
pieces.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
And often, I think also account or client services, because part of their KPIs is to keep the client happy.
Happy,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right?
So you'll do.
And they end up going and saying, yes, no, we'll get it done,
exactly.
get it done.
Oh, man.
Exactly. And
Oh,
that's what I'm
man.
saying is it's so important to have a process flow,
Yeah.
so that, and the relationship comes in there, so that when you're saying, Span, I want to, you know I'll do it.
Yeah.
But just because I know, let's rather play around, and you'll use nice words, of course. And that's
Yes.
where you are. To be like, I know,
Yeah.
certainly. As much as you can do, because you know maybe where you can push as far as you can, but making sure that you're still maintaining that relationship. Because coming back is that now this client goes to MD or heads to be like, actually this person is,
Yeah.
and it's not because of you, because there's so many moving parts.
Absolutely,
You know?
yeah, well, yeah. And I think just dealing with clients as well, there's also an element of, and other agencies, right? An element of constant re-education, if you will. I think just always like reinforcing processes, you know, but okay, guys, listen, no, we can do this, but by the way, you know, it's, remember that our turnaround time for, X is this, you know what I mean? Yeah, so I think that always needs to, because I mean, listen, it's a very fast-paced environment, right?
Certainly.
And it's easy to forget to go, okay, no, listen, this creative agency, needs certain kind of, needs a certain amount of time to turn things around. Because I think what frustrates me the most is that, guys, this is quite urgent. Everything's always urgent.
Of course. Everything is due yesterday.
Man, frustrates. But again, because you now have built those relationships with the client and with the partner agencies, that process, those conversations becomes much easier.
I mean, I'm glad you mentioned partner agencies. Because usually, say now, we are at Bank X, and it's all of our agencies. And it's almost like the desire to outshine, or wanting to be like the agency. So how do you usually manage that?
Listen, you know what? I like it though. I like that. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that. No, you know why? Because it's guys, we're all in competition, right? That's what business is. It's competition, and I want to be in the room with people who want to be the best.
Got you.
Yeah. So if agency X, is really like trying to, outshine us, that's great, because also it also motivates me.
It pushes you.
Yeah. However, though, there is a dark side to it, right? Where
so too much of a good thing.
Some come with Lindt chocolate, and you brought.
Man, yeah.
That's why they declare. But
yeah. But I think again, another thing that I learned from a recent employer of mine, Mr. Karabo Songo, is when those tensions do occur between agencies now, it's very important to nip things in the bud and have tough conversations immediately.
Tissue sessions.
Absolute tissue sessions.
That's what they are.
When last I even heard of
right?
Tissue sessions. So I think it's very important for us to early
Absolutely.
establish, boundaries if you have to. Yeah.
We are lead.
Yeah.
You must remind them, say, we are lead,
And because it becomes very blurred. It becomes, and I've had the opportunity to play on either side. And that's why I know tissue sessions, because I've either been in a tissue session of both sides, of which you kind of see that the opportunity is either maybe you've overextended yourself from an agency perspective, and unfortunately then you're not meeting the standard of, and it's an expectation because maybe you created an idea that it's possible. So it goes back to what Pat was saying, is you almost overarch yourself and push yourself, but then you realize it's nipping us in the butt. Or in the back rather. Then you find yourself now, client is expecting. Because the expectation has been set. So you'd have to have that opportunity to have that conversation prior to say, okay, this is process flow, like I say, is that there's an understanding, and are you comfortable with that? So that we don't find ourselves in an uncomfortable conversation and status when we're like, but about that though. We did say this though, we kind of had a conversation about this. But you've also spoken about creativity and boldness, and it also goes back maybe to differentiating yourself.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And I think, one of the things that I think just going into 2023 as well, that I also really want to see more of, is just like, I think just like clients willing to, to be more brave, and bold, when it comes to like their executions.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah, because I mean, if there's one thing I am tired of, guys, if I have to write another press release for things.
But don't you think there'll still be core stuff?
No, absolutely. No,
basic
absolutely.
stuff. That,
absolutely. Yeah. But I mean, I think,
but you know what clients also like saying? Saying, oh no, it's a new year, so we want to charge new things. Then you present them new things. Then they're like, oh no.
My goodness.
That's new, man. That's a tattoo new. That's too new.
We don't want that kind of new.
Yes.
That's when then it defaults back to a press release.
Absolutely.
The ordinary stuff.
Absolutely. I think, but I think, one of the things that I'm actually going to start doing this year, to be quite honest, is, so I like visual content, right? Visual content, engaging content.
Yeah, that's why we,
but also like talk to real people, right, and understand how they perceive what your client is offering, You know, yeah. So one of the strategies that I want to use now is you know, if say for example we're working with an insurance, you know, client, you know, so I use Ubers a lot, right? So when I'm in an Uber, obviously with the driver's permission, but hey, can I film, you know, a conversation with us? You know, understand about, okay, what products does he have? You know, what are his stresses in his life, etc., etc., etc. You know, and then go back to client and say, guys, you know,
So you're always working, even though you're not working
all the time.
And I
all the
always
time.
tell my team,
So that's
like,
picking up data, basically.
Absolutely, you know, and then so I think so, and I think so. Then I'll take
This
that.
was a trademarked idea. This I didn't born.
but also at the same time, just sorry to interject, just want to
Yeah.
highlight this point really quick, you know, in terms of client services. I think it's more of a full-time job.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's what I'm saying. You are the brand.
and you need
Consistently.
obsession
Yeah.
over your client.
Yeah.
Never switch off.
You know, so you need to be able to keep abreast with the
What's
competitors,
happening.
what's happening in the
Yeah.
industry that
Yeah.
the client plays in.
Never
And
switch
I
off.
often find it like with the young ones you know, coming into the industry,
Yeah.
not caring.
Yeah, no, unfortunately, man, it's and I think that probably happens across the board now. You know, I don't think it's just, you know, the comms industry. I think just the way that, you know, just life is basically, you know, I think with the overexposure to social media, there's almost
Yeah.
like this perception that, you know, you're just gonna leap and I think just skip certain steps, you know.
Yeah.
Zobo, and it doesn't work like that. No, seriously. It
Microwaved
doesn't-
success, yeah.
You know, it doesn't work like that, you
Yeah.
know. It doesn't work. Yes, but we all want to be, you know, the CEOs, the Pats, you know.
Yeah.
We all want to be-
Tapete,
yeah.
Bella.
But you know, if Pat sits down and actually tells you, you know, of
course.
you know, like
What
how
I
he
had
had to
to.
grind, you know, to get there, then
And the
you know,
sacrifices.
that's a very big word, actually. Sacrifice, because again, there are those times, right, with client service where you're going to have to work, you know, the late hours, you know, or even on weekends, actually, you know. But it comes to the territory, you know,
Yeah.
like that's what like the work is about. So I think also just being very clear from the recruitment point, you know, good you guys, listen, this is what, you know, we do here, and this is the expectation. You know, so that, you know, people actually know what they get themselves into. And this, unfortunately, this is not for everyone, this
Yeah.
industry. Yeah, well, it does break some people. But yeah, you know, I think to people out there, you know, especially about like the young guys who are still studying and looking to get into this, it's realistically, guys, and I think really understand Uguti, you just have to put in the work.
And
to put
there's
in
no
the work.
other ways around
There's no
it,
other way.
right?
There's no other way around it, man. Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, it's sort of. I mean, you are a PR person,
Yeah.
right? And oftentimes, I mean, if you look at what happened in 2020, you know, we saw a transition in terms of media consumption.
Yes.
We saw some of the big publications closing their doors.
Hey.
You know, what opportunities did that present for PR?
So I think what that did, right, it really presented an opportunity for us to really pitch creative and bold ideas to the clients, you know.
Because you have to find other ways. other means.
Absolutely. And I think that's when I really, for example, this one, you know, banking client that I worked with, right, who were, you know, they're very stuck in their ways, you know. But that's when I really started getting them into working with content creators. Because, you know, like that's everyone now. I think we saw a huge spike in digital consumption, you know.
Correct.
YouTube specifically.
Yeah.
Right? You know, so I was like, guys, you know, let's get, you know, our message on here, you know, collaborate with this guy. And again, you know, it's instead of like, you know, writing it on a plan, you know, I literally like got some time to get, you know, the very important people in one room, quickly show them a reference video of, listen, this is the guy we're going to work with and this is why he works. When they actually saw it, they were like, oh man,
Yeah.
let's do it, you know. And
Sure.
we executed it very quickly and yeah, got some really cool results.
I think I like that because
Yeah.
the agility, because I
Yes.
am of getting approvals, if I put it that way.
yeah.
Because I mean, the process would be
Yes.
objective. All right,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
put together the plan. This is mock up. By the time you're done, I mean, you're exhausted. And by that time, they could say no for all of
Yeah,
it.
man,
And then
you
from a
know?
timing perspective,
Yes.
I think how you are saying this is who we need to talk to now is because maybe it's a come up. So
Exactly.
and it doesn't mean you're the only brand looking at that person. And I see it
Exactly.
with, you know, some of the people that we've either presented to brands that, you know, literally as soon as after we are still, you know, trying to figure out yes, no budgets
Yeah.
and so forth, they were gone.
They were gone.
You know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think, so that's what, 2020, I think like really did actually. I think also it just like really challenged clients as well. Also like, I think just like challenged us as well, to think outside the
creatives,
box.
yeah.
Because we are creatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, we definitely are creatives.
I mean, you spoke about, partnering up with content creators, leveraging off their creativity, their audience sizes, and this brings me to, this notion of influencer marketing. And it's quite a contentious topic, in the boardrooms.
And we'll probably say some things that someone's going to clip and put on Twitter. And then people are going to come for me.
As a PR.
Say, how dare you?
Sure,
How dare?
Yeah.
Who's the young lady the other day? What, Gabs, I can't talk about my piano. Like, remember that clip? And, like the outrage that caused.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
No, I think going back to your question.
Opinion.
Yeah, no, definitely. And they're very important, I think, for us to put them out there. Yeah. So I'm guessing you're going to lead to, talking about influencer marketing and how to like navigate those spaces.
Of course.
Yeah. So listen, first of all, I think, influencer marketing is a very powerful tool, right? Because I mean, again, the term influencer speaks for itself. It's someone who, influential, and like they're able to take your brand and, they become brand custodians, for that moment, right? And expose it to their audience. But I think one of my issues though, with that landscape is really trying to motivate the ROI to the client, right? Okay, listen, it's why are we going to spend this much money on this person, But also, I think for me as well, and I think maybe it's a conversation where we actually need to have here with some content creators and actually understand what goes into making their work, because sometimes you get the cost and you'll be like, man. Like
which is what Mpumi always talks about,
It's like 50K for an Instagram post, but like,
what constitutes that?
Yeah,
what
exactly.
And I think I also want to be responsible in making that statement without putting it loosely. I am quite aware that, there'll be the too nice. I think too nice. But there'll be the camera, there'll be sound, there'll be all of this, which probably is just equipment that's about 10 to 15K, granted.
Yeah.
Then there's the editing part. I don't know if it's included in that. But then I think then the value then lies for me in terms of if we're looking at what has the typologies or the different groupings of nano, whatever. Within that then, let's leave it plain field to say, okay, cool, there is the infrastructure or the sunk cost element. But then when do we say it's a bit too much now? You're charging now 200K for just one post?
But that's one part. Then also I've got the following of 1 million.
That's what I'm saying. Is that
reach.
It's different.
Yeah.
But now how, and if you remember, I mean, this was when I was working in influencer marketing in Sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, I still have that article somewhat there where it was regulating the industry. This was in 2019. Where then, I mean, I was working with influencers in different countries and I was seeing it was just not making sense.
But also, if you think about it, it doesn't make sense from say, okay, this is an individual.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. If you think about advertising on
a billboard.
On a billboard or on the SABC.
Because it's a medium.
On SABC One, primetime generations, 250,000 rand for a 15 seconds ad. Right? That excludes production of that particular ad and obviously the agency fees and all of it, right? So I think the biggest gripe that we have
is
the individual. I know you. I know you. Exactly. So when the content gets, remember, I think influencers are like media companies. To a large degree,
definitely.
And with them, it's the production
and the reach. And that's what I'm saying. I think that I want to responsibly put out that statement of regulating costs, because my only thing was I'm getting an X who is at 5,000 and another X who's at 5,000. But because this one says I've seen the companies I've worked with, maybe bigger or alcohol brands, maybe they have budget. Maybe I've decided that, listen, I'm pitching myself at X number. Whereas this one maybe has worked with luxury brands or other brands of which then they'll give product maybe in the trade kind of conversation is a lot different, and from a monetary perspective it might be a bit lower. So there's a qualitative conversation, a quantitative conversation. That's what I'm saying,
which makes it complex,
which makes it so complex. And that's what I'm saying is that regulation, I know there was an AI though in America of which you could actually see the investment to say there was a point system, basically 5 points up or base points or something. They used to have this algorithm where you can actually see, is it worth the cost that they're giving you?
Yeah.
So you could measure to say, okay, cool, this is who I am, this is how I'm valuing myself. But in comparison to the landscape, you're actually not that big.
Yeah.
From
But
a quality and quantitative perspective.
But I think also, where brands actually can start to see value, and I believe in this, is to identify, the people you want to work with, right? But then form a long-term relationship with them.
Absolutely. And that's what the real value is.
Absolutely.
But then it goes back to what influencer marketing was and is that it's always been there. Those textbooks that we've seen from 19 there's always been an ambassadorship strategy.
Absolutely. Getting someone to carry the message.
To carry the message, to amplify that. It's just, I suppose, because of social media, we now can take a lot more people, so smaller bits of people to spread the message, at a bigger scale, if I'm to put it that way. I mean, I'm not against it. I just felt that, and it goes back, for example, how accountants are paid, lawyers are paid. Yes, there'll be, but there's a base point.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying, is that there needs to be a base point. That's how I feel. I know other
isn't
people
there
have
one,
a different...
because now, given the fact that there's levels, to influencers, right? You've got your nanos, you've got your micros, you've got your macros.
Yeah.
And obviously with that, you can say if you're a nano between 1 and 10,000 followers, minimum 1,000 rands per post, for example, or maximum 1,000 rands per post. Yeah. If you are 10,000 to 20,000 or to 50, then
I think more of a pay scale. I think I also don't want to almost say a sort of some pay scale that contributes to. So even if, when you negotiate for a salary, you first start at pay scale to say, okay, this is the role, this is how much they're looking at per rate, per day, per month. That's what I'm saying, is that there's some sense of pay scale, because I've looked at rates.
But then also what makes it more tricky is also the fact that brands also differ.
And that's what I'm saying.
Affordability.
Yes.
Right? So you got a brand that can easily cough out 200K to an influencer. Then you got another one that can barely afford 10K.
Yeah.
And
so then also, because then the relationship aspect also comes in.
Absolutely.
Because we are humans at the end of the day. I can say, like, look, just recently, as 2 days ago, reached out to this influencer, sent me their rate card, and they said, look, they're willing to negotiate. And I managed to negotiate them down to 50% of what's on their rate card.
You see?
So it's all sort of circumstantial in a way, because if you think about it, okay, now start of the year, there's not, campaigns are not coming in and not flowing. I need money. I'll take whatever comes my way. But there's going to come a time, it's a demand and supply.
Absolutely.
Demand and supply. There's going to come a time when I'm getting 10 briefs. There's not enough hours in a day.
So top 10.
Top
top 5.
Exactly. I'm not going to take work that gives me less than X amount of money.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think also another way to approach it, which has also really been working for me recently, is I think go to them, right, with a budget to say, listen, we're working within this kind of budget. Yeah, well,
what can I get?
What can we do? Yeah, we'll like to try. Yeah, you know what I mean? But again,
but also I've realized, even because what you're saying now is the same as in the agency world, right? Whereby you get a brief and client says, I'll share my experience. So you get a brief, you go work at it, you say, give us your best. You go back, you present something, it's worth 10 million.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's way out of our budget, what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
Oh, then you ask, what was your budget?
Usually.
We're looking at spending $1 million.
Oh my goodness.
Why did you allow me to go through all this trouble? When you knew. But then again, also clients, they're then reluctant to share the budget.
I was going to say, because they're also not going to say, okay, this is our budget, come up with an idea, and then the best will win. I think also they're trying to see, which I want the best idea, the cheapest cost.
Yes.
In a sense. And I can understand. I mean, having been there, you're trying to make sure that how far my money can go.
Absolutely.
You know?
No, absolutely.
And I was saying, I think with the influencers, the unfortunate part is that, and as much as, like you're saying, we're looking at them as individuals, they are a business and it's a medium, you know, that we're utilizing.
And I mean, most of these influencers, on the business aspect of it, like now, they got managers that
so they're paying for that.
Deals,
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
So I think right now, where influencers are at, and even when I engage with some government departments, when they talk about small businesses, I'd like them to have a different view on influencers.
Yeah.
Right? As also job creators. Because an average good influencer employs about 5 people, or 5 people benefit.
Absolutely. I mean, you look at someone like Mr. Damasa. Yeah, you know, I mean, she has a whole team. You know, yeah. So I think about yes. So I think to your point, definitely
from that aspect, we need to look at them and from a value creation perspective to say, look, if you're giving this person, if they're asking for 20K, I mean, there's a 1-2 photography that's taking pictures. You know, there's a makeup artist. You know, there is a
sound engineer.
There's a sound engineer if they're doing audio.
Wardrobe if there was wardrobe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, there's a driver.
Yeah, there's a driver. I mean, it's a whole set, just a mini set, if I'm to put it that way.
Absolutely. So there's families that are benefiting off just one person that we see on our mobile phones.
Yeah.
You know, therefore, the cost thing then becomes really debatable because I'm using an Austin Malema as a photographer for my content.
Yeah.
And someone else uses Thabo Jian,
That's true.
who is not known and whatever.
They can charge less.
Exactly.
Granted.
So, good luck with regulating
No,
the
I mean,
price.
we're not I think, and that's why I say I don't want to loosely put it that way, because it's complex and fully granted. But because I was there, and that's why I was saying, the person who was charging me, and the person I had a conversation with was a photographer, right? Yeah. And they were charging, I mean, my salary couldn't even come out, with a couple of posts, you know? And that's there. I was saying, okay, so what is the input to this? And that's my question. That's my
you I mean, the accountant in you
to say, well, how do you qualify the amount that you're giving? If you can explain it, sure. That's what I'm just saying.
But I mean, you're an accountant. You're an accountant by profession.
Yeah, by theory.
That's your line of thinking, and to say things need to make sort of.
They must balance. That's all I'm just saying. Is that man?
But you know what though? Also, I think where clients also shoot themselves in the foot though, and I've experienced this recently, is not planning ahead, right? Because they're now where some of the guys get you is, you know, if you come up to them and say, listen, we have this event happening
today,
lastminute.com,
yes.
you know, then it's
premium
like, okay,
rates.
Yeah,
I can do it.
Yeah, but and again, you know, I don't blame them for it. So
Also, I mean, just a last point, you know, on you mentioned clients, right?
Yeah.
And also, there's been this notion of clients or brand managers now wanting to be influencers. What's your take on that?
You know, you experience that. Unfortunately, I've had that experience. You know, I've had that experience, and I think
is it because maybe jealousy also is a real thing. You are a brand manager.
Yeah,
you getting this costs from an influencer.
Yeah,
you're like,
no,
that's a 12 you're getting paid 120,000 rand.
I can do this too. You know,
I mean, not necessarily.
Do you think a lot of it stems from that, or it's just the limelight?
You know what? I think it's more of a limelight thing than anything. Right?
Okay.
And I think where it frustrates me, right, is where, say, you know, there's a certain campaign that needs to go live. Let's say, for example, it's like a mass market product, right? And, you know, so you obviously, like, you will build your strategy for it, about like your PR executions, your plans and everything. And obviously, like, you'll need to find areas where that's going to have the most impact. But then now where that brand manager will come in, like, oh, no, but then, you know, because I like, you know, certain exclusive areas, we should actually activate there. But then like, no.
But in terms of impact.
Yeah, you know, but then like, no, but it doesn't make sense, you know. Yeah, so I get
And hence
those.
I'm saying that it's 4 people
But
dealing with brand manager,
Yeah.
brand, and
Yeah.
target audience,
Yeah.
right?
You know?
Or, and your team. But these are the 3 people that you're managing.
Yes.
I want it there, but does it make sense for the target
You see?
audience? But is
Yeah.
it part of the brand?
Yeah.
You know?
But I feel like most marketing campaigns, and I stand to be corrected, they're self-serving to the marketing people.
Yeah.
It's
No.
about them than it is about actually the consumer.
I have the same
Most
opinion.
decisions it's like, oh, my son likes so and so.
Yeah, but
Therefore, he needs to be an influencer or an ambassador for this, so that my son can get the opportunity.
I wouldn't say all. I think there's
No,
a
I'm not saying all.
percentage.
Most of
yeah.
them-
A lot of
A lot of them
A lot of
are
them.
self-serving.
Yeah.
I want to meet two.
I don't know. That's a bit of a heavy statement for me to.
It is quite heavy,
Listen,
and-
maybe
and,
it's a maybe
and
it's
to a
a
large
topic
extent-
for another time.
Yeah.
And it is quite a obviously sort of a controversial one to say. But some things you look at them, you're like, there's no link here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Like I wanna meet Drake, for example, and flip.
Nageze.
I've got the
budget
budget
to bring.
I've got the budget to bring Drake to the country,
Yeah.
and is it relevant to my target audience or whatever?
Yeah. But I think
the
that's
question-
where, but I think that's where about like the power of, sorry to cut you off, I think the power of insights and data comes in, you know.
Yeah.
And that's another topic that I actually like for us to discuss some other time. Would you know, like how do you then leverage the power of big data, you
Got
know,
you.
to actually inform campaigns?
I'm here for that conversation.
Yeah. So,
yeah. Actually, I mean, my entry to the industry was also big data. You know, I did my master's research on
Okay.
big data. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love it, man.
Yeah, I'm a smart kid. On that note, Njongo, thank you so much for making the
But
time.
maybe before you tell us the plans of 2023, and from a PR
But
standpoint, you told us.
Oh my goodness.
I think the one part, just one more part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
To conclude, you
I
know,
think,
in terms
what
of
like
how to-
my plans
Yeah.
specifically. I think for me is just to really, I think, dabble in content creation. You know, I think also
You're gonna
just
be a content creator.
hey man, listen, you know.
You also wanna be an influencer. Now you wanna be an influencer.
No, yeah,
You saw those red cards. Huh?
yes, I was like, hey man, you know, I want some of this. No, but like honestly though, I think not just for, I think just to really show, because I'm a show and like not tell kind of person. Yeah, well, yeah. So I think just to also really help show the clients, you know, to listen, this, you know, is how this could look. Yeah, well, but I think also I really wanna get more into the data, you know, I think side of things, you know, like insights. I love insights. Because I think
Analytics.
Everything that and I always say that everything that we do needs to
Informed
be
by.
insights. Yeah. So yeah, that's my plan for 2023, man. You know?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah.
stuff, man. Thank you so much for making the time. Really appreciate
thank you very
having
much for
you
having me.
finally and reconnecting, man.
Man.
After what, 3 years or so.
Brother.
So and that's bad. This was created on bromance. Pat was talking about self. Don't clearly. This
Hey,
is it.
man. But you
But
know
thank
what
so
though,
much,
yeah,
man.
and I got to meet Mpumi and your lovely team here. So
Yeah.
no, we
Yeah.
appreciate it, man, guys.
Great
And, yeah.
stuff, man.
And I look forward to coming back, man.
Certainly.
Okay.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Eventually, the uninvited guest
Invited again. Actual invite. Funny story how we got to this.
Yeah.
But needless to say, man, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And yeah, yet again, this is another episode with our guest, Mr. Njongo. And from myself, Unompumelelo, definitely make sure you subscribe, you share, you like, you comment. Tell a friend to listen up.
Notifications on.
Yeah, make sure you follow at Pat_Mahlango.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, and Mazbam follow podcast, POP_podcast. That's what you're following.
If you follow me,
By virtue.
you follow great stuff.
But for myself, Unompumelelo, bye everybody.
Inakhailale.